Okay, picking up at step 31 here, we have a couple things we have to do to finish this exercise off. One is using alpha with the movie clip and then altering the path of the motion tween. I'll sort of expand upon those as we kind of run into each of them. So let's take a look at step 31. It says rename layer 1 alpha bird 1. So I'm going to be super organized here so that I know kind of where I'm putting stuff from the library. Then it says drag the bird movie clip. This is something we've already, should have from last week. And drag it onto the stage at frame 30 of the in the bottom, bottom right of the stage. We're basically creating a motion tween of this thing. So I'm going to actually go up here and I'm going to insert blank keyframe. Okay, and then go up to frame 80. Insert frame. I'm just sort of doing a basic motion tween here. Okay. It says, looking here, grab the bird movie clip, the one on the stage, and we're going to move it up to that, while we're on that frame 80, we're going to move it up to the top right, okay? So this is a simple motion tween, okay? So we have sort of the scene being set kind of with that water, and then the bird sort of moves from bottom right up to top left. Now it says, step 37, go directly to the Properties tab and choose Color Effect, okay? What I'm going to do is make sure, there we go, go to Properties, and a lot of times you have to, you'll see I click directly on, and that's on step 37. Make sure you have the movie clip selected on the stage. What this is going to allow for, you see that if I click up on the timeline, I have some different kind of properties. I want to affect this sort of instance of this bird movie clip. So I'm going to click directly on that, and I get this color effect. The color effect has a bunch of different options, brightness, tint, you can change colors. We're going to simply choose the alpha, okay? It says in the drop-down menu, choose alpha. This is step 38. And it says pull the alpha from 0 or 100 to 0, okay? I'm sort of on that motion tween when it happens. So you'll see, and this actually happens when you pull the playhead across. As we move across, and I'll zoom in so you can see this a little better. As we move across, we sort of have the bird sort of fade away, okay? That's a simple changing of the properties that is helpful. Simple things like that can create distance. You can have something appear as if it's sort of going back into space by changing its alpha. Please note all the other things, and you can sort of play with this in these potentially in your movie. Brightness, tint has to do, we can change the color of this thing. You can hopefully see that changing as we sort of move across the stage. I'm going to sort of get rid of that, but there are other potentials in that color effect drop-down menu, okay? Next thing it says is with the selection tool, click on the path that represents the tween. That's this thing right here, okay? You've noticed this probably when you make motion tweens, but you probably didn't necessarily know what to do with it. What we're going to do is just grab a point on that path so an arc is created, okay? So what I'm going to do is grab it and let's see here, create sort of a dramatic arc, okay? So now this thing is sort of flying across and flying up, okay? I'm going to have it fly up instead of across. And we can sort of create more complex movements inside of that, okay? Step 42, I'm not going to do. This is practice for you guys. Create 2 more motion tweens with the bird movie clip, taking advantage of both the alpha property as well as an altered path. I want 2 more birds, so I want 3 total birds on this. Now, before we sort of head into talking about Project 1, I want to sort of test this movie, sort of see what I've done. Okay, there's the bird flying, there's the bird flying. This is scene 1, and boom, we've sort of popped over to scene 2. There we have the alpha and the altered path sort of happening. Okay, as Flash does, it likes to start over. So it's going to go through this again, but just let's take another look at it. This is a lot of stuff from last week, but then the addition of these scenes and the backgrounds. Okay, so make sure you add 2 more birds. That's going to be part of your grade for this exercise. Okay, please note that this exercise is due next week. Your Project 1, which is my segue into Project 1, is due in 2 weeks. So let's take a quick look at this. This is your Project 1 file. I'm going to sort of upload a couple examples. Please watch those examples. It says, for this project, you're to create a very simple sentiment using Flash. The sentiment should tell a story using uncomplicated animated graphics. Have in mind how both the street, which you critiqued last week, and heavyweight convey meaning and narrative using simple imagery. You have another animation viewing this coming week with a movie called The Heavyweight, or just Heavyweight. Examples of past projects, one are posted in the week 5 module. I've posted 2 very good examples of this project. The idea behind it, sentiment, is a simple story. Please make sure the story, I think, like the street and like Heavyweight, convey meaning and meaning that we should and hopefully be interested in some sense. This story is not, I went to the store, bought eggs, and made an egg. That is a very boring story. We want something engaging, though quite short, that can sort of convey an idea within a short amount of time. So consider how to create metaphor without complex characters. How can circles, squares, other very simple shapes and things convey meaning? How can color play a role in reading of an idea, whether it's just the background or the moving elements? How a complex idea might be conveyed quickly and efficiently. This is a very short movie. How size of objects convey meaning. How the speed of movements convey meaning. One of the biggest problems people have at the beginning of using Flash is speed. Make sure things are slow enough to be read. I'm not talking about reading of words, but rather sort of reading in terms of the understanding of an idea. If things are moving too fast, extend out your motion tweens. Extend out your timeline. Okay. How you might personify simple shapes. How simple but stable backgrounds can add to the scene. So you're making one 20 to 30 second animated file. It's only containing vector graphics. Don't bring in photographs. Don't do anything like that yet. We're going to be doing that later in the semester. This must be exported as a Swift file, and it's due on October 5th. That's 2 weeks from basically today. So please think about these movies. The Street was complex technically. I think The Heavyweight is much simpler in terms of how it conveys meaning. It's simple sort of drawings. Consider some basic things. Is your background completely white? And is it completely white because you just didn't sort of think about, creating backgrounds? Make sure you sort of think about these very, very basic things. That's it for this video. Please take a look at the week 5 module. There's quite a bit in there. Your project, the discussion on this movie, this exercise, yeah, that's it. Quick take a look. Your Project 1, the timeline, which we just went over, Heavyweight, and obviously the week 5 that's going to have your sort of actions on it. That's it. Please email me with any concerns, questions, and we'll see some finished timelines next week, and we'll see some projects in 2 weeks.